Hello, everyone. I'm back. This is Senior Pro Rick Witzkin, and this is Pickleball. Boy, oh boy, I've missed you, Fabian. How you doing, boy?
Uncle Rick, I've missed you too, man. Luckily, I do get to see you most mornings, which is good, but it has been lonely without you on the pod.
I don't know if our listeners have missed me, but I've missed you, and you missed me. And, you know, the good news is I kind of get connected to a lot of kids in the summer, and that's very much my MO for the last 30 years. And the beautiful thing is, for instance, this morning I'm on a tennis court for 3 hours working with awesome kids and coaches, and then teach a lesson here or there, a third shot, pickleball, the best place in Indiana. And this evening at 5 p.m., here comes 60 middle school kids for a pickleball league. So excited about that. Thanks to the Carmel Dance Club and the partnership with Third Shot, these kids are learning a lot about the game and having a heck of a lot of fun.
So this has like been your whole summer for people who don't know, so basically as soon as school got out, you're like, hey, I'm not going to be available from like 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. until the end of July. I'm like, okay, well, I guess we'll make it work, but that's what you've been doing, right? So I mentioned I still get to see you in the mornings. I take our little 5-year-old to go take tennis lessons with your whole crew. His name is Crew.
Yeah.
In the mornings, which is awesome to see the next generation of players just all there having a good time. But that's been your life for what, 30 years, you said?
Yeah, it has, and it's the little things, Fabian. While your son plays at 8:30 and you show up about 8:15, I'm there way before that. And it's because I want all the little things to be right. I want the balls in the right courts, the red ball, the yellow or the green dot balls, and the orange balls, and we want the ice, the coolers, the hoppers in the right spots. And ultimately, sometimes we use balloons and Nerf balls, but I want our coaches to be there to coach. And when it's your program that you've been doing for a long time, you're really proud of it. And honestly, even tonight when we run the pickleball league here for the middle school kids, like they feed off energy. You know that. I don't lack energy, but I will tell you by the end of July, I'll be ready to take a long siesta.
Oh my gosh, you brought this up. And so when you were gone, we had a couple of great guests on, one of them being JLG, John Lucian Goins. Starts off the podcast saying that you were his first tennis coach when he was like 4 or 5 years old here in Zion. So I was like, no freaking way. It's like, yeah, Coach Rick was my first coach, which is why he called you coach when he reached out to you. I was like, maybe that's just a nickname that you have. And then he tells this story about like, he has this core memory that he will never forget, that like at the end of each lesson, you would give kids a Jolly Rancher. Is this true?
Well, I mean, obviously giving some kind of reward to a kid for completing a class, it's kind of the way it goes, isn't it? I mean, doesn't your kid get participation awards just for playing a season?
Hell no.
Not sure I agree with that. Yeah. But when you told me that about JLG, like that made me really happy because I'm really good at remembering all the kids' names that come through my program. Right. But the 4, 5, and 6-year-olds, I don't have that quite connected yet. And I do think it's really cool that he started in tennis in my program.
Yeah. And look, I mean, the butterfly effect from that, right? Now we were literally just watching him on TV. When he was on the podcast, he was on the St. Louis Shock. Now he's on the Chicago Slice, but it's good for him because now he's a starter. So that's awesome to see. But yeah, man, we've missed you. Let us know in the comments, have you missed Rick? Let us know if you haven't. I like to read those comments too. They're kind of funny sometimes. But a lot of things that are going to be going on. The first one that I want to get to is your season. Your actual pro season is getting ready to kick off. And so for some of you that maybe didn't hear the news, what was the NPL has now changed to the CSP. They are now formed a partnership with MLP. So a lot of your events got moved around to kind of follow their tour. So you're going to be playing alongside those pros as well. So talk a little bit about this upcoming season. The first event, I believe, is here in Chicago. Not here, but coming up in Chicago.
It is during the MLP event. And we are excited to have this partnership. Really, when we're going to be in Chicago and the younger pros are going to be there, MLP, they're going to, I've never seen an MLP event. Never.
Yeah.
And I've never really watched. Actually, I did see Cincinnati PPA last year, but that was about it. So while I know so many of these young pros, I'm excited to see them again. I know the newest, hottest partnership with Paddle Tech is J.W. Johnson and Julie Johnson and Georgia. Well, I'm very good friends with Julie, and I, practice some with J-Dub, and I'm very excited to see them. But more importantly about CSP is this connectivity to the 40 plus, the 50 plus, and the 60 plus, and almost owning the best players at a certain decade is really a great thing for our brand. And, these players that are in the 40s were kind of in purgatory, if you will. They were literally sitting at home a little bit beyond the ability to make an MLP team or be in a PPA Open Pro tournament, but just waiting to turn 50. Well, now we got them, and we got a lot of this. We have 16 teams that are coming out fresh, coming out hot in Chicago. I'm playing for the hometown Indy drivers, and it's just always going to be a new learning curve for all the players on a team, even though there are a lot of holdovers and regionalization of the 12 players. If you don't know enough about CSP, which formerly is NPL, 6 men, 6 women on a team in the Premier League, which is the 50 and over. Technically, you could be 49, turning 50 this year, playing in that league. And the Masters are 60 and over. And so, but basically, you've got all of these different cities trying to represent not just their city, but vibing with partnerships that are new, men and women. And we've got a really good woman named Karen Kokis, and literally 2 years ago, she came on the scene. Her and I were playing singles and started to really connect that way. But I've played her a couple times in mixed, but I've never played with her. And I can't wait to do that.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a great season. It's only 5 events because we're connecting in Chicago, connecting in Dallas with the MLP, PPA, Nationals, and then 3 other events. And there's nice prize money every single weekend.
And so was that part of that collaboration? Does it increase the amount of prize money that was previously offered? So a couple questions here. Does it increase the amount of prize money that was offered when it was the NPL and you guys didn't have the partnership with MLP? And then do you think that this was like a long-term play as kind of like, we want to get the best players kind of all that are already in the system that graduate essentially from PPA MLP to then go play in CSP? Like that's the next logical step. Is that kind of part of what that approach was?
Yeah, I think both of those scenarios are accurate. Number one, when you are in your late 30s and kind of aging out of PPA and MLP, now you go right into 40s into CSP. It's a wonderful thing to look forward to. And really with the MLP marriage of CSP, you look at the Boca Surge from last year. They literally changed their name to be the same name. It's the
Palm Beach Royals.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so I'm aware of multiple cities engaging those. I know Houston and Utah are engaging in MLP teams for the youngsters and then coming right in with their CSP teams that are already in existence. Now you got a perfect marriage, right? To have different generations of pros all in the same city representing your team. It's a pretty cool vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. And they've got a lot going on. Just recently here at another club in town, they were doing a minor league team for the Shock. And I've got a friend who tried out and made the team, like a minor league team for the Brooklyn squad. So they're kind of hitting it at all different angles, just younger generation, kind of current pros that are late teens to, mid 30s or whatever. And then you guys are bringing up the caboose with kind of players that are getting into the 40s, 50s, and 60s. So that's awesome.
Yeah, listen, I've been doing this since 2022, and running the NPL, being a co-founder, has been one of the most rewarding things that I could ever put my energies into with co-founders Beth Bellamy and Michael Chen. Ultimately, we have given these players a new lease on their professional athletic careers. Men and women going for their best fitness, their best nutrition. So many of them come to us and say, thank you so much for starting this league. And, it's just the next step is moving into the big leagues. We're literally going to be on Pickleball TV, and there's going to be so many segments on what we're watching right here in this room is going to be CSP, Indy Drivers versus the Kansas City Stingers. I mean, how cool will that be? Because it's going to be national prominence at the very least for the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Yeah. And that's really what I love about pickleball. And we've heard this story kind of many times with different guests that we've had on. Is just, this is a very unique sport that gives athletes that were either former pro athletes, collegiate athletes, and even people that weren't necessarily collegiate athletes, a second opportunity at a chance to be a pro at something, right? And I don't think that there's many other sports that give you that opportunity. I'm thinking about this funny video somebody sent me on Instagram of these guys playing like 37 and under, like tackle football. And it's just embarrassing. Where this is just like, there's an actual avenue to be in your late 30s, 40s, 50s and go pro.
Yeah, and you see my good friend, we played many tournaments, won some, Scott Crandall, he's a coach of an MLP team. Dave Fleming was a contemporary opponent of mine and senior pro. He's obviously the commentator. Yeah. You see a lot of these nurtured relationships stay very heavily in the pro arena. And, specifically in my family, my brother-in-law, Brian Shelton, is the coach and the father of Ben Shelton. So you get that connection. I just saw the article on my good friend CJ Klinger and his dad. I mean, what a great article that was about his dad's like his great friend and done so much for him. And
like CJ's dad is a good friend to CJ, like that father-son relationship.
Yeah, I'm just saying Ben Shelton and Brian Shelton, CJ Klinger and Darren Klinger. I've known the Klingers for quite some time. Love it. The point is that, this sport seems to be generationally compatible. And I love that about this sport. It really is.
Yeah. That's awesome. I hadn't read that article, but it's kind of reminds me of, what's his name? He just won the championship from the Knicks, Jalen Brunson. His dad is an assistant coach, right? For the Knicks.
Rick Brunson.
And it's so cool to have that kind of relationship. And I feel, and you probably have good visibility into this, of just like that parent-child relationship at such a high level is probably pretty rare. Like to be able to take not just coaching advice, but life advice, and be able to turn the switch on and off as a father, to be able to like properly communicate what needs to be communicated to your child. It's probably a really difficult thing. And then on the flip side for the child, it's, that relationship has to be really solid for them to actually respect you enough in that way, whether you've made it as far as they have or not, to respect your opinion and your outlook and your input and say, hey, like, I'm going to listen to dad, right?
Ultimately too, these young pros have a lot of pressures. And I want to touch on Wimbledon. I know it's a topic we were wanting to discuss. And reality is that the insane pressure of a Ben Shelton being the top American seeded third, a lot of expectations. And when I read the online comments when he didn't do well because he played an incredibly good first round opponent.
We were watching that match together. It was crazy.
We really were here watching it. And Vertanen played incredible and had no pressure. And it literally was match point for Ben. So it could have gone either way. But when you hear Naomi Osaka take off a year from pro tennis because of mental health reasons, when you hear of Danielle Collins and the harassment she's had, you hear about these pros getting death threats because of money that was wagered on their match that they lost. Like, this stuff's very real. Yeah. I'd rather have a family member in my corner that's my coach, like a Klinger or a Shelton.
Or Anna Lee.
Or Anna Lee with her mom. Good points. I'd rather have that there to discern what the noise you block out versus what you listen to and how you adapt. Because if I'm with, John Doe coach from Timbuktu, like they may not be able to connect with me on how I navigate the off-court issues. And I tell you, not to sound old, but this wasn't prevalent when I was a pro.
Yeah.
And nor was it when Todd Whitscomb was a pro. It's very different now growing up in their day and age.
Well, yeah, you didn't have social media, obviously. The computer had just been invented.
Wow.
There weren't gambling sites that were easily accessible and
True.
being advertised every 30 seconds on the live broadcast, right? So yeah, absolutely. The pressure's completely different to a certain extent.
You know, we just saw a match yesterday that was incredible between Djokovic and Felix Auger-Aliassime.
Is that the French guy?
He's Canadian.
Canadian.
Maybe he's a French Canadian.
Yeah, I'm sure.
There's a
With
lot
a name
of
like
those.
that, yeah.
But 7-6 in the fifth, so much pressure. If you can believe this, people, Novak Djokovic used to be called Novak Chokovic. Like he choked.
Really?
And everybody's choked. Everybody, tennis, pickleball, you name it. But the incredible mental fortitude after 5 hours at 39 years old, I didn't actually see much of the match. I was teaching, but I did have a student this morning in my tennis clinic say that his parents thought that Djokovic didn't act with good sportsmanship and celebrated and crazy. Like, I didn't see it. All I know is that at 39, to accomplish what he's accomplished and to beat a 20-something that's number 4 in the world in a 5-hour match, you know, into the second week of a tournament, I got to give props to Djokovic.
Yeah.
The guy's a machine and arguably the best of all time.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to talk about it, and we mentioned we were watching Ben's match here. That was a heartbreaking loss. We were literally sitting on the edge of our seats, seeing what was going to happen. So unfortunate out for him. You mentioned Naomi Osaka, huge win over the number 1 female player.
Sabalenka.
So yeah, I'm excited to see how it all shakes out.
I think for our listeners, Fabian, this is what I've done my whole life, and that is observe all levels of pro sports at the highest level. I watched World Cup. I certainly am watching the Wimbledon, which is the biggest tournament of the year. I'm definitely watching the Super Bowl. I'm watching the World Series. I didn't like baseball, but I'll watch the World Series. But I saw Osaka. I don't watch women's tennis very often, but Osaka, the way she was locked in on that match against Sabalenka, she lost to her 3 times this year. How does she look like that? And you almost felt like she was going to win, even in the first set. Yeah. Guess how many tiebreakers Sabalenka had won in a row before Osaka just beat her in a tiebreaker? 21 tiebreakers in a row.
Jeez.
Osaka lost her 3 times. She goes and she wins. I mean, look at FAA. Felix Auger-Aliassime against Djokovic. He only lost 1 service game the whole tournament. And you're telling me that Djokovic could break him and break him? Like, that's pretty amazing. I mean, ultimately, our players that are listening need to believe that they can be that guy or girl that goes against the odds and prevails. Why level up? Why go 4-0 to pro? Why go road to 4-0 if you don't believe when you're playing that big match against 2 4.25s and you're a 3.8 and you got match point? You got to believe you're taking it home because that win will do so much. I mean, look at this Ferry guy from Britain, Ferry. Yeah. The dude's 5'8" on grass, 150. You're in the semifinals. Come on, this is a fairy, no pun intended, fairy tale. I mean, unbelievable. So I just think the more eyes can be wide open with our listeners to other sports, including World Cup. I mean, you got to give it to USA getting the Sweet 16. But you also have to say that game in Sweet 16 was sour 16. Yeah. That was a sour game.
Yeah, that was bad.
I mean, they literally, the first goal, if you remember, the ball falls between 3 defenders. They all look at each other. And in comes the Belgian guy. Whoop, whoop. And there you go.
And we'll move on here in a second, but I want to say that the flip side of that is also true, right? So just how you have like, not necessarily underdog stories and all of what you were talking about, but there is a sense of that, right? Especially for Osaka. But the loss on the flip side for somebody like the number 1 player in the world, Sabalenka, you can come back from that. Right. And so I look at myself in my games, and some days I'm Naomi and some days I'm not Naomi. You know what I mean? And you have to have, to your point, you have to have the belief that you can win on any given day. And just because you don't doesn't mean that that's the end for you. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there, that the opposite of that is true as well.
Oh, it's so important to keep it in real time.
Yeah.
The statistics, and know Federer, who's arguably the other best player in the world ever,
Yeah.
only won 52% of all the points he's ever played.
Yeah.
Like, that margin is so little. And this doesn't affect me, but I literally get messages from random people I don't know giving me advice for Ben. Like, I'm his uncle. That's all I want to be. That's all I choose to be. That's all he probably wants me to be.
Yeah.
Like, don't tell me he needs another coach. Don't tell me that what's wrong with him. What's wrong with him? He got to number 5 in the world.
Yeah.
And he's had a consistent year and won in 3 different services tournaments that no other guy's done. So, okay, everybody loses but one person in every tournament. Let's not forget that. And that's the same with pickleball, right? Yeah. There's only one team that's winning that. It's Annalie and Ben a lot. But regardless, I mean, the world does not collapse because a couple tournaments aren't going in your favor. And when you're up match point and you lose, you're right there. I mean, the whole trajectory. Now, all of a sudden, if you'd won that one match point and got to the quarters, oh, he's incredible, he's amazing. Mm-hmm. But since he lost that first round match point, now
it kind of negates everything else.
Oh my God, he's gonna his rating's gonna go down to 4.5 now. Like, what the heck? You guys are Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
So keep it in reality.
Keep it in reality, people. Absolutely. So we got a lot of questions to get to, Rick. So we're going to start here. I've got a couple. And the first one, I thought this was kind of funny. We got some of these off of Reddit. Great place to hang out. But the person that posted said, and I want to get your perspective on this. And this is not how I talk. This is how someone wrote this. So don't yell at me in the comments. What are y'all thoughts on the dinking is useless below 4.0 level?
Are they saying that dinking at below the 4.0 level shouldn't be?
That it's basically a useless shot. And I'm like torn on this, but I really want to get your opinion, and I'll kind of tell you why I'm torn on it. Is I've played a lot of below 4. Most of my career. That's funny. Most of my time playing pickleball has been at the below 4.0 level. And I will say that the number of times that I warm up with dinks and people tell me to drill my dinks, that's great. It's been a lot compared to the number of times we've actually gotten into a dink battle at that lower level. So like, to a certain extent, I get what they're saying. It's kind of useless to waste your time if you're never going to use that shot. But that's a very short-sighted thought, because that's assuming you're just going to stay there and not go up, because that is a very necessary shot and skill once you get to the higher levels. So that's my take on it. What do you say, Rick?
Yeah, I mean, number one, dinking is a form of touch and feel. And the more you play into touch and feel with pickleball, the better you're going to be. Why would you not play at lower levels an aspect of the game that is very attainable? And I mean, we watch pro pickleball together. We're watching it right now as we're doing this show. And you see so much dinking. Why would you not really make that your nest egg of abilities when you have foundational success there? It can free you up for more speed ups, free you up for more drives. Look, we have 15 courts here. I teach on one, and sometimes it's 10 other courts of just rec play and open play. Mm-hmm. And I shake my head at the way these amateurs, which sometimes includes you, decide to go power, crazy transition, power. I mean, you should never drive the ball 3 times in a row. And I'm not saying you, I'm saying people.
Yeah.
And so at the very least, mix it up. I think it's insanity. To answer the question, I think it's insanity to just play a fast game just because everybody else is. I'd rather see our listeners be the 1 out of 4 players that play the softer game, try and cut their dinks a little more and roll and get them off balance. And if the other team keeps speeding up when they dink the first time, so be it. At least you're trying to play the right way for getting to that road to 4.0 and above sooner.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with you. Like I said, I kind of see where they're coming from just because it doesn't happen a lot, but that doesn't mean that it's like, that's not a weapon that you can use against somebody else. So, all right. So this is another interesting.
Well, sorry, just one last thing on that, Fabian. I mean, if more players at your level started dinking, you'd be getting more reps, right? The points would last longer. Don't you think that's going to help all of you if the points last longer and you get more reps?
Yes, and it's also more fun. That's like, I've never been in a 20 shot rally that includes the majority of dinks where somebody gets done, isn't smiling, isn't laughing, and is just like, man, this is what it's all about.
Right.
Right? Because it changes the perspective of the game. You're so locked in, you shouldn't be so tense, but your body's tensing up because there's so much pressure on who's going to make the mistake. You're constantly using your brain to think, okay, where am I going to move this ball around? And you're also just sitting on your heels a little bit, just being like, somebody's going to speed this up at me, right? So there's all this tension that's building. And so when you get done with that, everybody's just basically clapping. They're like, yeah, that was awesome. Because it's to a certain extent, like it's so rare that actually happens because people don't like to play that way.
So we're saying more reps, more of a physical challenge. Look, if you have a 60-ball rally versus a 3-ball rally, pretty sure it's better for your body and your fitness to be in the 60-ball rally. And when you get in 60-ball rallies, now you're talking about the mental acuity that you're trying to maintain in game 5 of the day or game 7.
Right.
So it's a no-brainer what you really should shoot for, even if your amateur players that are in the open play aren't wanting to do it.
Yeah, and especially if you decide to play tournaments, and I'll just say this last thing and then we'll move on. You can see when somebody's physically tired, and your strategy can be bring them to the kitchen and let's dink them to death because they're not going to bend over, they're going to reach, they're not going to move their legs, right? So I think it is, now I'm disagreeing with myself, I think it is a skill that you should practice because I think rec plays one thing, tournament plays another. So if you're going to play tournaments, it is something that people will use against you. And if you're tired by to your point, the 5th match of the day, you're going to get beat.
Well, and in the CSP, we play 4 team battles in a 2-day period. It's a ton of pickleball. It's super high level. You're playing pod 1, and you've got a men's doubles, then a mixed doubles. Then you have another team that you play in the afternoon, men's doubles, mixed doubles, 2 out of 3, games of 11. Then you got to roll it back the next day. It's tiring. By Sunday, I'm like, man.
Oh, all those games are two out of 3
to
that's
11.
Cool.
Yeah. And so no rally scoring, and it's we've literally strategized. We're going after that person because they seem mentally shot,
right,
or physically shot. And by the way, I'd put the fitness level of the 50 plus pros up against anybody. The level of fitness is insane.
When we hosted it here, I was like, these are incredible athletes, man.
Totally,
it was awesome to see. Yeah. All right, so the next one also comes from Reddit here. So this is actually an interesting point. They said, which pickleball shots are actually worth drilling on a ball machine?
It's a great question. I mean, obviously a ball machine doesn't feed the ball perfectly. There are some inconsistencies with the way it spins and the wheels and whatnot. But I think, ultimately the ability to just train yourself to hit targets in the kitchen when you're in the transition area, I don't think there's one.
So wait, what does that mean? Okay. So hit targets when you're in the trend. What does that mean?
So I think you can work on most of your shots with a ball machine. I'd focus more on targets, like put yourself in the transition area, have the ball machine feeding with elevated spins and speeds, and try and maneuver it down the line, maneuver it down the middle or tee, maneuver it cross court. I mean, the ability to maneuver a ball to a certain location is just as important as, are you hitting the ball the exact same way? Grip pressure matters too. But, yes, if you slow the ball down, the ball machine, then you start working on this is a shot I've not worked on a lot, even though I was really pretty good at it in tennis. That 2-handed backhand topspin. If I wanted to take the time to drill with the ball machine, which I think is a wise thing, I just have too much going on to practice right now. But I'd be working on a 2-handed topspin cross court, because that's where you're going to use your 2-handed topspin.
Right.
Is more cross court than down the line. You don't hit down the line topspin very often. So I drill cross court and drill down the middle. But I think it's an important the people that are using the ball machine needs to understand that The slower the ball comes, the more you can work on your top spins. The faster the ball comes, the more you can work more on your blocks and your little chips and back spins. So I think that's more important than exactly which shot. You can work on your drops, you can work on your dinks, you can work on your drives, you can work on transition game. I don't want to seclude that to just one or two shots.
And would you recommend putting at these targets, if you're maneuvering the ball around, putting cones down, hula hoops, whatever, just to kind of like actually help you visualize where you're wanting to put the ball?
1,000%. Could you imagine if you had a tournament this weekend and you hit 500 balls or more a day and you hit a target that was in the odd side corner over and over again? You'd feel pretty good at 9-all in the third in your tournament this weekend about hitting that target to their left heel. To that, you almost have a visualization of a cone rather than their foot there. Yeah, that's very smart.
Okay, and then maybe one other question here on that. Would you, because we've got the Titan ball machine, right? So I think that's a great machine. You can set up kind of like multiple shots or combination shots. If there was like a combination that you would drill, what do you think that would be?
I would go fast and then soft. I would literally maneuver your ball machine. The oscillation matters, going right and left, but I think different speed. One fast one, because too many times we get locked in to no matter what ball is coming to hit the same speed. I think you got to hit your shots differently based on whether the ball's coming fast or slow.
Yeah.
So my recommendation for ball machine users, and I never transparently have ever used a ball machine, it would be to change the speeds so you adapt with your grip pressure and point of contacts.
Awesome. All right. I like that. I was going to say, practice, you hear a lot about, and I heard a lot about this yesterday too. We were playing in a kind of like a duper league thing last night, and just very basic 101 serve and return for depth, right? And there was a couple of like backhand slice returns that landed a little bit further up that were just slow enough that people were able to put them away, and I put my partner in a very bad position probably 5 times. So that would be kind of one of the things that I would practice quite a bit, is just because it's overlooked. It's so basic. It's like, oh, I know how to return a ball. I know how to serve. But serving for depth really is important, because that sets up what that person can do. That's going to be the ball coming back to you, right?
If a Reddit question was, you can only have one shot you're working on the ball machine and one target, I'd say, okay, you probably know what I'm going to say. Work on the backhand slice return deep to the odd corner. Try and get that one. That is a very, very lucrative spot.
What do you
I've
guys
won
think?
at least $10 in prize money off that shot.
All right, what do you think? You're on a desert island, but there's a pickleball court and a ball machine, but the ball machine only has one shot you can do. What shot are you going to practice? Let me know. Okay, so this was another fun one, and I think I know what your answer is going to be, but I'll let you tell us.
For the record, I have no clue about these questions that Fabian's giving me.
God, I wish people knew how to write better on the internet. My God. Does paddle matter? Does paddle matter?
I mean, clearly, the weight of the paddle matters. I have 9.4 ounces. That is very heavy.
Yeah.
And even though I have a little bit of tendonitis here, I'm going to keep using it because it feels like a tennis racket to me, which is what I'm so used to. But does paddle matter? I mean, clearly the thickness of your frame and the beam and the amount of grit you have, all of that matters. And I am transparently, I'm going to be using the honey foam for the first time tomorrow in my lesson with a 4-5 guy named Robbie.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you to go to full foam.
Yeah, well, we'll see if I do.
It's going to be a rocket
I
ship.
love this paddle. I have a hard time believing.
But I think kind of the gist of the question is, so this is kind of the rest of what they were saying, is just wanted honest opinion for this one. Does paddle price/quality really affect your performance, or is it all about the player and the paddle is just placebo?
I mean, we've seen multiple circumstances of top pros having to change their paddle last minute. The Kawamotos were in here. We talked about that, right? And they went on to win. And so I think ultimately the magician has way more to do than the paddle. But I think a beginner, advanced beginner using a $99 model that may have a little bit of carbon, maybe not, fine. But yeah, I think if you come from, let's say, a slicing and rolling background from a tennis perspective, I think you really need to find a paddle that has good grit. Whereas if you come from, let's say, a racquetball, which is more of a wristy, flicky, squash, ping pong,
Yeah.
I think that's not quite as important.
Yeah.
But I do think the mistake I see people doing, even at the beautiful club of Third Shot, is just choosing a paddle or hearing a recommendation from somebody and not trying it. You should absolutely demo a paddle before you decide what's the right fit for you, and do it more than a day. It's not hard for a paddle to feel better than one you used for a day, but use it for a week.
Yeah.
Use it for a tournament. See what you think.
And I'll answer the question definitively. I think paddles 100% matter, and it just matters on kind of what you are trying to get out of pickleball, right? If you're just coming to play to have fun with friends, have no aspirations of being competitive or leveling up, you just have fun with friends and it's fun, I think go buy that $30 paddle from Walmart, right? I don't think that matters. But if you're somebody who's like really trying to get good, I think that's where the nuance in thickness, in surface type, right, in grip length, I think all of that starts to matter. And there really is a difference for the type of player that you want to be. So I think that's the real question, is what do you want to get out of pickleball? And I think that dictates what type of paddle you probably need or want or should get.
Interesting analysis there. I have a Reddit question that just popped up in my head. And
a Ricket question?
Ricket question for you. And that is, Paddle Tech clearly is spending a lot of money bringing on J-Dub, Georgia, and Julie.
Yeah.
And Tyra Black, let's not forget. In addition, they have Ashan and me and Zane and Weinbach and more. Like, so the point is, Eula clearly has had a lot of money to sign high-profile people, and they give some pretty nice sponsorship opportunities to folks. Do you think they have the funds to finance these contracts because they're the best paddles? Or is it just the deepest coffers from the business owner that has to move into the industry?
I think it's a little bit of both, right? You look at an example, like I think there's no doubt that Yola is a great product. Selkirk is a great product, and they've got the price tag that goes along with that, right? And so, yes, they have deep pockets. They're very profitable companies, so they can pay these players to use their paddles. But like, let's make no mistake about it. If players were free to choose whatever paddle they wanted and they weren't beholden to a contract from a manufacturer, they may not be playing with the paddle that they're currently playing with, right? So I think that comes into play. You know, we could have used this example for the last thing that we were talking about. Very infamously, Federico Staksrud ended his contract with Yola, went to Adidas, had terrible results with Adidas, and then went back to Yola, right? And so, yes, I think that matters. And Adidas is one of the biggest sports brand companies in the world, and with all of that money, they couldn't produce a great paddle that a top pro wanted to use, right?
Did that hurt Adidas?
Probably. Let's just say I see zero Adidas. Gotcha.
At the highest level?
I see zero Adidas. Let me know in the comments if I got you. I see zero Adidas paddles when we play here. So, all right. And so last question. And then we'll get to a tip and then a new segment that we started while you were out. So this is kind of a two-part question. Is the body bag a good shot? Let that sink in. Let us know, is the body bag a good shot? And then talk about mixed doubles etiquette. I think this is a hot topic. Maybe Anna Bright wrote about this in one of her newsletters, if I'm remembering correctly. And I think these two can go hand in hand. Just on, as a male, playing against a female in a mixed doubles game, are you playing all out? Are you playing 100% against a female? And it's interesting because pickleball is the only sport at the highest level where women and men are put on an equal playing field. They're playing on the same court. They're playing for essentially the same amount of money. There is no difference there. right? So when you are playing in your mixed doubles in your pod, are you playing differently? Are you holding back? Are you doing anything that you wouldn't be doing against a male counterpart?
So, and I believe that's the same in tennis, mixed doubles, which I played plenty of that. But the general answer is absolutely not holding back. And I've played matches where the woman's better than the man. When I played Lee Waters at Nationals, when I first Nationals, we were down a game and 6-4 before we realized we should not be hitting her the ball.
Yeah.
Hit to the guy. And so we went to 3 and lost in a close one. But, you know, I will say that I will test the lady early and often to see if they can hang with the speed and the power and the pace. Look, I love mixed doubles. And I'd say 70% of the senior pros that I know, male, know how to play mixed doubles emotionally, temperamentally. That means 30% in my mind that I've experienced, and I played pro pickleball, not just senior pro, for multiple years before I got 50. I was astounded at how many guys didn't know how to treat their lady partner. It's unbelievable to me. And I feel like I've gotten a lot of money into my pockets because I have sisters and daughters and I know how to treat women. And I think that's a huge component. But the one thing I wouldn't do to a woman that I would do to a man right during a point is I will absolutely try and tag in the midsection. I'll never aim for anybody's head ever, ever, ever. But midsection body bag for sure. The guy, I won't do that to a woman. I just won't. So I'll try and aim lower on her.
And I think that that's not the same for the other way around, right? Like, I don't think women are ever going to hold back when they're playing against a male. And if they have that shot, they're going to go for it.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, and I just get mad, I'm like, why am I changing my style of game when we're playing mixed doubles, right? I know that they're not, and the same can be said for age difference. There's a large age gap. I feel like my game is changing there, right? And I'm holding back just a little bit, but they're not doing the same, right? And so I think there is an etiquette piece. Let us know what you think. Is there an etiquette piece to this of like, what's more offensive to a female or an older partner or vice versa, a younger partner or a male partner? Is it not giving 100% and kind of subtly saying, we're not on the same level, so I'm not going to treat you the same as somebody else? Or is it, I'm treating you the same way, but it's going to be really aggressive and it might hurt, right? Like, which one is the more offensive foul there?
Yeah, it's a good question. You know, I would say, just back to the tennis reference, when you're older, the serve really loses miles an hour, your returns, this court's way bigger. But in pickleball, I don't think age is that relevant. I mean, athletic men and women that are in their 50s can hit the hell out of the ball. And I wouldn't be scared at all to get on the court with Ben and J-Dub or any of those guys to see their pace. I would have zero fear playing against their pace. I wouldn't enjoy watching their skills of movement and flexibility and consistency and everything else. But I just don't even think the women are that fearful that are pros, even senior pros, handling a guy's heat. But you got to test them early and often.
Yeah. All right. Okay, and then the body bag, you think that's a good shot or not?
I think when you play somebody bigger, I think it's smart for people to try and body bag me. I do. I don't get offended if you hit me. And if you aim up towards my face and you're a pro, I'm going to be pissed off. And I can't remember I don't even know if that's happened, to be honest. I don't think anybody's ever tried that. There's one time where I got hit near my forehead, and I don't think it was really on purpose, but I was pretty upset because I just don't want to lose an eye to this game, right? And nor would I ever want to do that to anybody. But I'm not going to body bag a woman on purpose, but I will definitely body bag a guy on purpose. I will not nasty Nelson. I don't think it's part of the game, but I just no.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that one. Maybe we'll answer that on the next one. All right. So coming to the close of the show here. So 2 segments. One, we already know your signature shot, but let's give a tip to our listeners So I know that you were given a lesson before we started recording. You've been working with the youth all summer. What is something that's kind of sticking out that you think our listeners would benefit from hearing in terms of a tip?
I'm going to go off the beaten path here. And it is something I've talked to the kids about. In fact, I even played a video of my brother-in-law talking about him raising Ben. And literally it was just positive self-talk. I mean, I remember when Brian and Lisa would call Ben champ when he was 4, 5, 6 years old. And, always saying positive things. But then I have the kids lined up and have them one at a time come and demonstrate their serve. I'm like, oh, no, everybody's watching. Like, try to stop any negative talk and any negative body language, especially when you're in front of your peers. Like, I think that's a really, really key thing. Oh, I'm playing the first seed. Oh, I hope to get a few points. Like, I've literally had opponents say to me, oh, I've seen your videos. And, well, one guy did this to me, and I don't think he knew that I knew him. And his name is Teddy Dupay. And I played him in the 40-50 pro in Nashville. This guy was like the leading scorer of University of Florida basketball of like all time. Incredible. And the dude was chiseled like you can't, like The Rock.
Yeah.
And quick reflexes. And he's like, oh man, I really respect you. And you've done so much. Like, I don't really want to hear that from somebody in the warm up. And that's what he was telling me.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this guy's setting me up to think that I'm going to just think I'm going to trounce him. And he's really good.
Yeah.
So, in fact, Tommy Ho and I lost 11-9 in the third. It was super close. But don't let negative self-talk happen, and don't be talked in or out of anything prior or even in the warm-up of a match.
Yeah, that's actually happened. And that is a strategy that people use to be like, oh, take it easy on me, man.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, it's only my second week of playing. I only played for 2 years. Like, let that go in one ear and out the other. It's hogwash.
Yeah.
Sorry, ladies. I've been coaching for 35 years. The women always downplay how much they played and how good they are. If I was a lady playing rec play and I hear somebody, I would la 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 la. I'm not hearing your bull crap because you're lying to me.
All right, positive self-talk. You heard it here first. All right, so this new segment that we're doing here is called Here for the Gear. So that's where we talk to our guests about a piece of gear that we just can't be without. I know what I'm going to talk about, but I'll give you the opportunity, since you haven't been here for the last couple weeks, to talk about a piece of equipment, a paddle, shoes, whatever it is that you're just like, I love this because it helps my game.
Outside the box, again, I like to really consider the color that I'm wearing. It does give me a vibe, and I could wake up with a different plan than I thought the night before. All right, I'm not obsessing over colors and outfits. Trust me, if you talk to my wife, she will agree with this. But, I might feel like pink is my color today.
Yeah.
Just I'm playing mixed doubles. I'm playing with a lady. My touch game is going to be on fire and just in touch with the feminine and my partner. That might be my vibe for the day. Or it might be red, where I'm like, fire. I'm going to rip and attack. And so I like oranges. I certainly like purples and bright colors. I don't like black. I don't like white. So I think consider a color based on the temperament of how you feel and maybe what mood it can put you in when you hit your shots and play your game.
I like that. I'm going to refine your answer here because I know what you're saying and I've seen it firsthand. I'm going to say that the piece of gear that I've seen you do this most with is shoes. I don't think I've ever seen another guy in here with more pairs of shoes that can perfectly capture what you're trying to put across. You've got your Alabama shoes. You've got, I don't know how many pairs of Tyrols in all different colors. You've got a bunch of these different Nikes. You had the American flag ones on for 4th of July. So I'm going to say that your piece of gear would be shoes that match the color that you're trying to go for.
That's fair. And I'm so not a material guy. If there's one thing I'm slightly material about, it's shoes. And I like those Nike air gel. I mean, I literally feel like 235 pounds on the gel along with the air feet in sole. I feel like that's what is perfect for me. But you're right. The color of the shoe, you know me better than I know myself.
Yeah.
Good
Hey,
job.
That's why we're co-hosts.
We're partners, man.
We're
partners.
buddies.
Yeah.
So my piece of gear here, as everybody knows, I've been playing with this awesome paddle, Aereo Cyclone. Took me to gold. You'll see me playing with one in Dallas and any other tournament that I'm playing at. So Aereo Cyclone, for me, this is the best paddle that I've ever played with. Gives me tons of power and pop, but also an incredible amount of control when we are dinking, because we dink around here. So if you're interested in getting a paddle, trying out the Cyclone, use my code Fabian10 to save 10% off and get yourself one of these awesome Aereo Cyclones.
I have to close with the fact that the Ripskin logo, if it's on my hat, if it's on my shirt, if it's on my wristband, that gives me extra mojo. And most of you know that's in honor of my deceased brother, rest in peace, Todd Whitskin. And I've given a lot of hats, including to a lot of the kids this summer, and they're all wearing them. It's pretty cool to see the feverish tennis world and pickleball world of kids in Zionsville and Carmel vibe into the Ripskin logo. And I've had a number of people tell me that they played better because they're wearing the Ripskin hat or wristband. So I'm not selling those. I'm going to Oregon this weekend to run a camp. I'll be giving those out. I'm going to Boston 2 weeks, and in 4 weeks I'm going to Cleveland. I'll be giving those out. Ripskin hats. When you see those and the Ripskin wristband, start feeling the vibe.
So can people just find you, come up to you and say, hey, I heard you on the podcast. Where's my Ripskin stuff?
Yes. I will give them a wristband or a hat.
Love it. Well, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. Rick, we've missed you, so I'm so glad that we got the chance to get you back on here, and I'm looking forward to getting back to normal scheduling here once the summer's over, even though I don't want the summer to end. But if you made it this far, thank you so much. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe at This Is Pickleball Podcast on all social media, and subscribe on YouTube. Leave us a rating, review. That's all we got for you, man. We're out.
Thank you for Paddle Tech, and thank you to our producers. You guys are amazing.
Even though your phone went off during the recording, but that's okay. We still love you. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.